Hey, what's up? It's the normal playing guy, and hey, I gotta do this video. And hey, am I drunk? Well, maybe possibly, but hey, this is how normal players do it. So, we have the new LR, which is not an LR, but it's an Easy A. Hey, so it's an LR Easy A. It's Goku Black. Called it. Everyone, pick up the phone. I called it. Okay, so LR Black is the only member, really, of the entire Future Saga slash time travelers, right? Which really had an easy A. LR easy A. Why is there not one? Hey, we got one. So hey, check him out. Now this is a few days late, but I did it, and I've done a few preliminary testings, and hey, this is just an idea of how normal people play this. So yeah. By the way, this guy I've got is way ahead of schedule. I've got him level 10 links across the board. But one of the first few units ever came out as links, already done. So what does this guy do? I'm telling you now. I've had a few bit of testing over the past few days, and this guy is insane. So let's have a look at this base. So he has what? 66% to stats. He has 160%, right? It's 144% more, which is pretty ridiculous when you check out his stats. Coming in at 55%, we have still 11,500, which is actually pretty solid. Coming in at 69%, we have pretty much the same sort of deal. Only his attack gets, his defense, okay, so 55% comes in at 8,500, 69%, 10,000 plus. So a bit of a huge difference. If you have them at Rainbow, 11,500. Fantastic. The beer is amazing. So fact is, you're coming out with 144% extra is really good, and 3 key. So he gets 3 key. And do you know what really helps with that? That helps in terms of his key up, because he gets a lot of stats and power on key up, as well as what he does on his super attack effect. So he gets 3 key, 160%. That ties in well because he gets 8% to stats per key. That's just period per key, up to 160%. So that's 20 key. 20. Previously, it was just attack that goes up by 6% up to 120. Ultimately, this guy could hit like 10 million prior to doing super, like on super attacks. His defensive viability was yet to be, well, no, it wasn't really there, but he could still hit like 10 plus million, which is what a lot of top tier units do these days at the best stats. So this guy, depending on how many orbs you get, could get it. This guy, the fact that he's getting significantly more start of turn stats with extra key, and the fact that he's getting slightly more up to the maximum cap of 40% more is pretty insane. So, and it all ties together everything you do with just one small caveat. So, you get 3 key, which really helps in terms because that 3 key, after the few bit of testing I've done, actually counts towards this. So, before you know it, compared to base where you had no key at the start of turn, this 3 key actually counts towards it. So you get an additional 3 key with 18 or more, which is brilliant because that's on attack. By the way, this is actually on attack. So when you actually get the 3 key with 18 or more on attack, you will trigger this because you'll hit the 22 key, which is guaranteed your additional super attack. You're guaranteed an additional super attack. What does that do? Greatly raises defense. Or actually, the 18 key greatly raises attack as well as defense, which is really insane. So it all works together. You get the 3 key, which helps to raise up by 24%. You get the additional is 18 or more, which helps you to get you this, which is 22 or more, which greatly raises attack and defense, which means the guy is pretty redonkulous. And of course, you get, so, by the way, this guy, I've done a little bit of testing for him. I did a little bit of testing into the Fight and Legend events, which I will do a video on as well, just for lols. But this guy casually hits, for me, he's at 90%. So the guy casually hits, and this is just casual, like 20 million. It's pretty insane. The guy will bust out without any links, like 10 million. With links, and we're talking like Super Saiyan, Fear and Faith, Kamehameha. There's like most of these links in terms of like big bad bosses and like Super Saiyan, where you get some big hitters and like legendary power. We're putting out like 20 million casual, and this is prior to support, right? And then we'll touch into support. So the guy is hitting pretty ridiculous. So you get 6%. So you get 6% HP when 66% or more at the start of turn, and you get 6% at the end of which an attack was received. Period. So you will come away with more than 10% of your HP back, which the higher your health, the more it is. You also get an additional 6 ki and a 50% chance to crit after delivering the final blow. So, for example, I took him into the preliminary testing of the, say, Fight and Legend Vegeta event, and I had him absolutely just one-shot the first phase. The one-shot first phase, he came out with 6 ki, 50% chance to crit. By the way, this guy does not build up. He does not need building up. He is orb dependent. But other than that, yes. By the way, so this is a bit wonky. It's a bit weirdly worded. You get 8% each time the ki is raised, which basically means however many orbs you get, that's how that it's 8% per orb, and it gets up to 160%, which is 20 orbs, right? So the problem is it's on attack. You don't actually get it in your stats. That's the problem. The guy is 90% full level 10 links, and with all of his links active, he's touching around 177k. And even at Rainbow, you'd barely be touching 180k. So at 177k, and he greatly raises defense, of which at 22 ki, which you'll get when you're 18 or more, you're guaranteed to get an additional. So what? You're getting 50% on top of that 177, which is basically the 80k, puts you to about 240. You get an additional one of that, which puts you at more than 100k, which puts you more than 350, touching 400k, and all you got to do is get 22 ki. And with that, you will also get quite a lot of stats and power. Now, it's hard to actually quantify what his defense is, because while this is great, you don't get that start of turn, you don't even get that on orbs, you get that on attack. And I feel like that's a bit of a glitch, because it's not showing that, but it's on attack. This, by the way, is pure nice. Yeah, a little bit of HP, sure. The fact is you can actually factor in well with the Tech LR Goku Black and Zamasu, and they heal like 15% or something. So alongside, you can actually heal quite a little bit, and they can be quite potent. This unit, no doubt, hits ridiculously hard. It is absolutely ridiculous. I've tried him on a double 170. I've tried him on a double 200, and I've tried him on a 170 and a 200. I've even tried him on his own, 150. And even at the low end scale, this dude's, well, I mean, this is 90%, but the dude still can hit like 15, 16 million. And he isn't even trying. There's a few issues with what this guy can do, and before we touch into anything else. So ultimately, it's this. It comes down to this. So this happens on attack, and in terms of defensive viability, it really depends on how many orbs you get, and you're going to want at least 10. But the guy can get up to 20. The problem is, how are you going to get 20 in any normal situation outside of items? And the items you bring in, they ain't going to be key changing mechanics, are they? No. So how are you going to get 20 ki? Well, the simple fact is you just don't. So the most I've ever gotten is, I think I've gotten 11, and he has hit in excess of 20 mil, and that might have been with support. Most commonly, the guy sits around somewhere between 15 and 20 million. Now, by the way, that is absurd, because there's no anniversary unit that sits alone at 15 to 20 million. Just bar none, right? And this is, by the way, with at least 10 to 11 orbs. When you get somewhere, say, let's lowball it and say between 5 and 6, the guy is hitting somewhere around 8 million, 7 million, which is still actually pretty insane. That's still better than most 55% anniversary units, period, no matter what. It's pretty insane. The guy hits hard, but it's his defensive viability. Well, how do you get around that? Well, there is that, but the way you get around it is you need to get 22 ki. But the problem is it's not strictly necessary. It's not strictly easy. Yes, you do have 3 ki, which really does help. And you do get 4 ki in his own, but normally you get 3 ki 200%. So, okay, let's say you got your 6 ki plus your 3 ki, you're on 9. Else do we get this on? How else do we get this? Well, Fear and Faith would require an extreme form. So there you're on 11 key. Dismal Future, again, you're going to have to be on a Realm of, Future Saga slash Time Travelers, not so much Realm of Gods. And there you are, you're on 11 key. And then that's basically about it. But you barely hit a super attack if you trigger the 2 key links. And you've still got to get to 22 key, which requires basically an extra 10 orbs, which is quite a lot. It's 22 of 24, which is no joke. And he has no key +1 whenever you hit a certain orb, which is a real bad thing because he gets stats per orb. Now, if you factor in with something like that, he would be absolutely broken. The point is, you're going to get 22 key because he greatly raises attack and defense, and then you'd still greatly raise defense on his additional. At that point, then yes, at my 90%, he is touching around a theoretical 370, 380k. Sure, there's a lot of things that can kill him, but I'd touch an almost 400k without support. It's actually pretty nuts, right? It's absolutely crazy. So he does need a little bit of support in terms of how much key you can get, but there is actually some hope. But yes, so he is very good as it is. He is no doubt absolutely ridiculous. I suppose what it relies on is it relies on this. The key 6 when you deliver the final blow. So sure, there is plenty of super battle roads or extreme super battle roads where there are plenty more, like Realm of Gods, which is like 544, and you got like Time Travelers, which is 545 or something to that effect. And then you can also have, like, look at the people that he's on. If you really must, I mean, you can put him on like Patara, which has quite a few, Future Saga, which has quite a few. When you have him in respects of that, it's easy enough to have him in a situation where he could deliver the final blow in a minion, and yeah, you get 6 key. So when you factor that, even he's on like 13, 14 key prior to doing anything, so then you need significantly less, but that requires that. If you're talking about stacking events, yeah, still works in stacking events because he's way powerful, right? You can easily get the power enough to take out what the first few phases just on his own. And then you can get that 6 key. But without this, you're going to struggle to get 22 key. On preliminary testing, I found that this guy, as powerful as he is, if he doesn't get his 18 key, he's often doing somewhere between 3 and 6 million. And that's kind of disappointing. But it's when he gets his 18 key, because of that, greatly raises his attack for the turn, as well as the extra key that's gone into his attack. That's when he shines in. So he's a little key dependent, but if you get the right situation, oh boy, can the guy just work, and work he does. So, by the way, this guy has a rage mechanic, and the rage mechanic allows you to, when you're under 66% from the 6th turn, you can turn into this freak, which is just, he's immortal, it's a giant form, and he looks pretty insane with his LR art, and he does a lot of damage. You get 6 key, additional 2 key per key sphere obtained, and you're super effective against all types, which means that he just hits damn hard. He greatly raises attack, destructive enemy. In this particular form, if anything is crits, well, that's great. But if it's not crits, you still have the super excellent effect. You still apply the super excellent effect. So you still have tremendous damage done into anything. There's nothing, not even physical, can slow this guy down in this particular version, but it's literally only just one form in particular that has this. So yeah, it's great. So overall, in a nutshell, he is probably one of the hardest hitting units in the game. He was prior to his Easy A. Now he's just made that even easier. Seriously, the dude hits like 20 million without even trying too hard. But in order to get that, though, you are going to need to cross off these links. We're talking like Super Saiyan, Fear and Faith, Kamehameha, Dismal Future, Big Bad Bosses, Fierce Battle, and Legendary Power. Not exactly difficult these days because honestly, I think Future Saga, maybe Time Travelers in particular, in conjunction, might just be the best ones going. So we have a lot of plethora of units which do a tremendous amount of support and tremendous amount of link building. Take, for example, the new worldwide download celebration unit, Zamasu. What do we have? Dismal Future, which is giving you key. Big bad bosses, fierce battle, legendary power, huge amount of attack. What about Intamasu? Plenty of people have got him. Well, he's extreme int. What are you getting? Big bad bosses, dismal future, fierce battle, legendary power. Hey, the king is back, by the way, with his millions defense. Fear and Faith, Dismal Future, Big Bad Bosses, Fierce Battle. Literally missing LR power. Do you know what this guy has? 30% attack to all allies. Do you know what really helps? This guy, because he transforms into Rose, is the perfect linking partner. He has Super Saiyan, right? Most importantly, which triggers that attack, as well as Big Bad Bosses, right? Super Saiyan's not too far from legendary power. But not only that, but the guy's given 3 key 30% attack. He's given 3 key 30% attack, and we know the king is back. Guess who's black? He's back. He's Goku Black. Right? He's given 3 key 30% attack. He's also extreme int, which is what this guy is, and it just so happens to be what this guy is, right? So, hey, sure, Extreme Int just got pretty nutty. Do you know who else is pretty great? This guy. It's probably his best linking partner. Between the Big Bad Bosses and Legendary Power and what these guys can do, he's pretty insane. But hey, look at this, what we're talking about. We're talking Time Travelers, Future Saga, Extreme Realm of Gods, and Worldwide Chaos. Some pretty gnarly teams in terms of like Worldwide Chaos as well. This guy, people may have him. He is kinda on the old side. When did he first release? He first released 2020, so he's legitimately nearly 4 years old. He's 3.5 years old, so legitimately people have got him. Could have got him from a random summon. Could have got him from the Trunks or Gohan summon. The anniversary summons, worldwide download celebration, or hell, from whatever ticket summon with the guaranteed LRs in it, right? People will have this guy. And chances are it's probably at 55 or 69%, but I'll tell you what, prior to the worldwide download celebration, I had him at 69%. And I tell you what, he was absolutely disgusting in terms of attack, but crap at defense. And I tell you now, he's pretty good here. So he is actually pretty well built, I must admit. He doesn't need building up prior to the orbs, but his super attack effect works both in any sort of situation. He doesn't require X amount of turns. Unlike, like for example, this guy, he's a stacking unit and he builds up per rotation, and he's made for long events. Zamasu's kind of like this particular guy, he's made for short-term events where he's guaranteed additional super attacks, he has damage reduction, it kind of works for short events. The guy kind of works in both to and from. Really, really powerful. I suppose it would take some, like, for example, the divine will of mortals and whatever it is. Could he take himself into that? But it would turn out probably not. Because the guy will probably just get himself absolutely wasted. We're talking like going into the Future Saga Red Zone, the guy will just get wasted, right? But for most things, he should be fine, especially if he double supers. Potentially could quadruple, could triple super, but that will put him shy of 500,000, which is not bad, but still not good enough. He's a solid offensive unit, and his defensive viability has improved, but not to the point of taking him into much difficult content. But then again, if you did, you'd survive better, right? That's the whole point. The guy is usable, I suppose you could say. And usable because he has also fantastic abilities, right? Fantastic people in this. He has a great link set, great linking partners, and viable people to flush him out. Previously, we just needed this guy to make or maybe even hell, this guy when he came out, but like certainly this guy when he came out. If you had a full extreme team of the Black Saga, then sure, you're pretty much set. This guy probably seals the deal more. So yes. By the way, what does his EZA consist of? Well, his EZA consists of LR power will be the only thing to damage him, but it's Vegeta family. So Vegeta family and the LR power in particular, the ways to go. Now you don't strictly need LR power, but you would appreciate it. Anyone from the Vegeta family saga will be able to resist and do more damage in general. Of course, you will need physical. Allow me to pause and I'll bring it up, in particular what you need. So, of course, it's Vegeta family, and of course, it's LR. So, no doubt that, of course, this guy for time travelers will be front and center. And you know what? Time travelers can incorporate quite a fair few Vegeta family. Maybe not strictly LRs, but you got like this guy, you got this guy, one of the best units in the game. And that's just for starts for some. Hell, you can even run this guy who is a full 180%, so that's not exactly no joke. But in terms of like physical, where you got this guy for one, then you've got the Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta, the LR, with the Super Saiyan 3 Goku. He's an LR physical. Then you got LR physical Trunks, who's the OG 90%. He has a 50% chance to crit. He could probably just be pretty redonkulous. So you have three physical LRs in this prior to you actually being able to actually own one of these, which is pretty good. But in particular, it's Vegeta family in general. Physical will give you the best defense. This guy is not too shabby. Yeah, okay, he doesn't have any supports for like gifted warriors of Realm of Gods as like this guy does, but this guy could legitimately hold you out, even these two. Hell. So yeah. So of course, there are a few Vegeta family units which could just help just for defensive fireability, and if you had any LRs, that's the way to go. But Vegeta family is it. So altogether, I'd say it's pretty good. It is pretty destructive no matter what he does. And it's easy enough to get his active skill these days, where he just has the his super excellent effect, right? And it's pretty ridiculous. If you were struggling, by the way, for the punching bag event, God forbid anyone who ever does that these days, this guy could definitely help with more after his EZA. Just you've been reliant on orbs. You can use items in some respects. God forbid the very people who still do that event. Good for you for still trying. I've given up long ago, but yeah, this guy could certainly be a caliber to actually hit that. But yes, anyway, thank you very much for watching. You can all tell me how great or how bad this video went. He's late, but I'm a normal playing guy and I got normal stuff to do. So, hey, brilliant. Anyway, if you liked it, you liked it. If you didn't, well, sucks to be you. But thank you very much for watching. Thank you and bye bye.